Hello everyone and welcome to the Guild Living campaign. If you're watching this video, that means that you've been invited to the Guild Living and we're glad to have you. One of the things that you need to do as a new member is to go ahead and read up on some of the rules and start trying to get your character together. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, if you're on this main page, you see that there's some stuff down here that it asks you to read. It's this all cap stuff. It'll tell you need to read the basic rules, the new player checklist, the rules on items, which you can skim through, and you need to know some macros. But let's go down and look at the basics first. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up two new tabs, one with the basic rules and one with the new player checklist. So you're going to need to read through the basic rules. And one of the first things on the basic rules will say there's some chapters in the player's handbook that you need to go over. Now, one thing to be very clear on is that we don't expect you to know everything. We don't expect you to get everything right. We just expect you to kind of look through some of what's going on to kind of get a basic idea of what you're going to be doing as building your character and what some of the terms mean and what some of the things you're going to be seeing a lot in powers are talking about. And having a copy of the player's handbook is very helpful because there's going to be a lot of things in here that you say, I don't really know what that means, and the player's handbook is going to be a good reference for you for explanations on how some of the stuff in the game works. You want to know how death and dying works? You can look it up in the player's handbook. How many powers you're supposed to have? You can look that up in the player's handbook. The other thing you're going to need to do is once you get through reading through all of this stuff here, you're going to, at the very bottom, see a thing that says additional resources. There's a button here called Portable Compendium. What you're going to do is you're going to download that, and once it's downloaded, you're going to unzip it. This is going to give you a search engine for the entire campaign. So the Portable Compendium, which will look like this, will start off as not having much of anything on it. It'll be selected like this and have all. Now, if you really want to know what something does, like I really want to know what Dragon Breath does, I can type in Dragon Breath into the search bar and it'll pull up everything that's about Dragon Breath. Now in here it's only pulling up a couple of things because I've got some filters on. Actually no, it's because I can't spell. So let's try this again. Dragon Breath. There you go. So it tells you the races that have it. There's some companions, familiars. And if you want to say, oh, well, I'm just looking for the power Dragon Breath, you can look here and go and sort by level. You'll see the Dragonborn power, Dragon Breath. It gives you everything you need to know, tells you when it was updated, if it had any erratas in it, and will tell you everything you need to know and what books it's located in. This one's in the Player's Handbook and in the Heroes of the Forgotten Kingdoms. But once you've got that resource and you've read through the basic rules, it's time to start looking at the chapters in the Player's Handbook. Now, if you don't have a copy of the Player's Handbook, that's perfectly fine. If you go and you type in D&D Player's Handbook PDF, the very first thing will be something, well, it looks like down a little bit. We'll give you the Player's Handbook free, and you can just download that PDF and read through it. If you have problems finding a PDF that's not on a site that's going to be very sketchy, go ahead and get in contact with one of the DMs, and we'll help you get a copy of the Player's Handbook. Now again, go ahead and read through the rules, but once you get done reading through the rules, it's time to go to the new player checklist. Now, if you've read the Player's Handbook and you've gotten through a couple of the chapters, you should have some idea what some of these terms are. So the first thing you need to do is get your resources. You've already got your Player's Handbook, so you don't need any more books. And there's going to be some stuff that's in the basic rules, which will give you a little bit of extra things to go on, as well as that compendium that we made sure that we already have downloaded. The second thing you need to worry about is getting an account on Mythweavers. So when you go to Mythweavers, the site will look like this. Go ahead and sign in. And once you're signed in, you'll click the Sheets button in the middle. Now, Mythweavers is free, and there's no really benefit for referring anyone, so don't worry about filling out the referrals. Don't worry about filling out all the extra stuff. It's just an easy way to keep track of your sheets. And you're going to be looking at sheets, not sheets old. When you go to make a new character, you're going to create a sheet, and then type your character name as whatever you want it to be. You want to make sure that it's set to be not a private character, because you're going to use this to show other people what your character does. Your sheet template is going to be Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition. And then you're going to go ahead and create your sheet. So, I've got my example character here. And so when I open my example character up, it will give me a form fillable sheet with all kinds of stuff in it. This thing might look a little daunting, but that's okay. Again, we're not expecting you guys to get everything right. Just make an attempt at filling out all the sections. And the new player's checklist is going to try to walk you through each individual piece. So the next thing we need to do is go to the Skype guild chat. Now, there's a lot of problems that we've had with people who get into the guild chat and just make an ass of themselves. In order to avoid that, or at least sort of curtail a little bit of those things, there's going to be a way to go get it, which is to contact one of the DMs. Gravy Mattingly is me, so you can send me a contact request on Roll20 with something that says, I'm in the guild, I'm in Roll20, I know you from this thing, just something to make sure it's easy for me to tell that you're not just a spamming person, and then I can throw you into the guild. The next thing you're going to want to do is pick your race and your class. Now the easiest way to do this is to open up your compendium. Your compendium is going to have a section on it called races. So you can look and see what sort of race you really want to get. Now you can either pick a race and then a class, or a class and then a race, or you can pick two things that go together. It is highly recommended that you pick two things that end up going together. So let's go ahead and look at a class and see if there's any class that looks kind of interesting. So what are these little columns for? Well, you have the 4 roles. So the first role, controller. These are the people that cripple their enemies, that create big effects that sort of mess with the team monster. These are the wizards that are casting big webs over the field and slowing everyone down. Then you have defenders. Defenders are the ones that protect their allies. They are the people that say, you must deal with me or else bad things happen to you. The leaders are the ones that heal, but they will also inspire their allies to better greatness. Effectively, they're the opposite of the controllers. They're the ones keeping their allies from being crippled, while the controllers are the ones crippling the enemies. And then last but not least, you have strikers. Strikers are the ones that are there to get the other team dead and to have big numbers and be happy with their big numbers. So let's go ahead and look at playing a leader class, a defender class. So Paladin is kind of an archetypical one. I think it'd be kind of fun to play a Paladin. So let's see what Paladin has. Paladin's key abilities are Strength, Charisma, and Wisdom. So I would want to look for a character that's the race that is either Strength, Charisma, or Strength, Wisdom. Okay, so I'm going to play a Paladin. Let's go look down at our races. Now you can sort by ability score, and it'll tell you some of the ones that are Charisma, some of the ones that are Strength, Wisdom, all that sort of stuff. Now, I've played a couple of Paladins, and I kind of know what I want, so let's go ahead and look for something that would be kind of fun to play as a Paladin. I think I want to play a Dragonborn. So, a Dragonborn Paladin, that's what I'm going to play. Go over to my example character. I'm going to make my name whatever my name is going to be. Put my name, this name here is going to be whatever your name is on Roll20. And I'm going to be playing a Paladin. Now, Paragon Path is for level 11, and Epic Destiny is for level 21. You don't need to fill those out quite yet. So I'm going to be playing a Dragonborn. And I'm size medium, because that's what it says under Dragonborn. If you look in the compendium, it'll tell you size medium. My age, let's say I'm 25. You'll also see in the compendium there's a section that tells you exactly how long they live. If you're curious about what your age is, it says young dragonborns grow faster than human children do. They walk within hours of hatching, reach the size and development of a 10-year-old child by age 3, and reach adulthood by 15. They live about as long as humans do. So maybe 25 is a little old for my dragonborn. Let's make him 20. I'm going to play a male character to make my life easy, and let's say my guy is pretty tall. Let's give him 6'5". Not going to be too crazy heavy at 6'5". And alignment. Now, alignment's going to be really important for a Paladin, so I should start looking up what I want to do next with this. So let me go look back at my new player checklist. It says that the next thing I should be doing is stat array. So let's leave the alignment alone, and let's go look at my stat array. So the arrays, which there are tons of, you can pick whatever you want, but generally speaking, as a new player, you're going to want to start with one of these basic arrays. Now, these arrays can go wherever you want them to be, in whatever order you want them to be. They just have to be those numbers. So my character is going to be someone that's Strength and Charisma based, and I kind of like having a balanced character, so let's go with 1616. Go with this second number here. So just take that, put it on your sheet, in your statistic block, and call it array. And let's go 16 here in Strength, 16 here in Charisma, 12 in Wisdom, 12 in Con, 10 in Dex, and 8 in Int. So we do start at level 5, and we get 2 different ability scores, and I get to get my scores from my race. So what do I get from being a Dragonborn? Being a Dragonborn, I gain +2 Charisma, and then my choice of either +2 Constitution or +2 Strength. Since my class is Paladin, and I'm playing a Charisma Strength character, I want to take the bonuses to Charisma and to Strength. So +2 Cha, and +2 Strength. Now these numbers get added directly into the base scores, so once you've put them in your statistic block, you can go ahead and increase your Strength and your Charisma by those scores, giving us 18 and starting Charisma and Strength. Now on the checklist, it lets us know that we are also going to be getting 2 different ability scores that you receive at level 4. If you have questions about how this works, go ahead and look in the player's handbook and it'll help you figure out what exactly you need to do. So I can put down here, level 4, +1 charisma, +1 strength. Now you don't absolutely have to keep your best stats as to what you're improving on, but generally speaking, in D&D, it's a game of specialists. So anything that makes you good at what you're already good at is going to make you great at that thing. And you can sort of rely on people that are good in other ways to help you with the pieces that you need help with. So you're not going to ask the paladin to pick a lock for you. You're going to ask the rogue to do that. You're also not going to ask the rogue to go and lift the heavy thing. Oh, well, I guess there are some rogues that have high strength. You're probably going to be more likely to ask the barbarian or the fighter or the paladin to pick something up that's heavy. So we've got our array. We've put the numbers where they need to be. We've got our bonuses for starting at level 5, and now it's time to go ahead and work on what some of our skills are. So in here, it'll tell us first classes paladin, and you can double click on a section and that will draw that section out. So I've got my class paladin here. Great. I'll just leave this up for when I need it later. So Paladin gets religion automatically, and then from the list below, I get 3. So diplomacy, endurance, heal, history, insight, intimidate, and religion. Now again, the general rule is you want to be really good at things that you're already good at to make yourself sort of the specialist in that field. So my character has very high charisma and very high strength. So I can pick things that are strength and charisma. I'm going to want to take those more than other things. So I automatically get religion. Let's go ahead and mark that off. Go down to my skills, check the box next to religion, and I want to take things that are something my class is able to take, but I also want to take things that are in the area that I'm already going to be good at. So diplomacy is charisma base, and intimidate is charisma base. Then I get another one. I don't really know what I want to take. I kind of am thinking this character is going to be really tough, like tough as nails. So let's say that I'm going to take endurance as well. Now you can make all of these choices based on reading through each of the skills and deciding what it is that your character will be good at. This is a good way to start to get a feel for what your character is going to act like and play like. So diplomacy, endurance, intimidate. Diplomacy, endurance, intimidate. So I've got all my skills selected. My next thing I'm going to do is pick my powers. Now there's a ton of powers in the game, but for most classes, it's going to read like this. At level 5, you'll get 2 at-will powers at level 1, 2 encounter powers, a level 1 and a level 3, 2 daily attack powers, a 1 and a 5, and a utility power at level 2. And if you have any questions, you should go on page 29. So I've played a lot of paladins before, and I kind of know roughly what I'm doing. So what I'm going to try to do is just go ahead and really quickly pick the things that I want and show you kind of how that ends up being. Now you're going to want to take a little bit of time to pick your powers and all of that sort of stuff. That's fine. This may take you a little while to do. But I'm going to show you how to pick at-wills real quick and then very quickly burn through everything else. So when you go ahead and look in the compendium, it'll give you the ability to sort to powers. Then you're going to want to open up your filters, and since you're playing a paladin, you want to type in the filter for paladin. This will give you all of the paladin powers. Now first I need to pick an at-will, so I'll pick that at-will. And this gives me all of the beginning at-will powers. Now there are some things that you're going to gain as part of your class, and we'll do those in a second. It says on here that you want to look at... Actually, no, it does not say on there. I might want to rewrite that to make it a little bit more clear. But you're going to want to get the powers from your class first. So let's do that. As a paladin, I gain certain powers. So scrolling down, it will get me to... I gain a channel divinity, I gain divine challenge, and I get lay on hands. So let's put those in. On the sheet, go down to your powers, and I have channel divinity, lay on hands, now also as a Dragonborn, I will gain another power. So if I look at what I gain for being a Dragonborn, it says I gain Dragon Breath. So I'll go ahead and put that in as well. But let's get back to picking our at-wills. So, there's a lot of different things on this that might be a little bit confusing. So when you're looking through this, there's going to be a thing in the player's handbook that explains how all of these things work. In general, paladins are weapon classes. They will occasionally have implements and they will occasionally use holy symbols to attack people, but by and large, you're going to be picking your melee weapon stuff. So this one is a charisma attack versus AC. So that means that you need to pick something that you've got a pretty decent stat in. My character has high charisma and high AC. So both things like Bowstring Strike, which are based off of charisma, and Vengeful Strike, which is based off of strength, will be good for me because I have both high strength and high charisma. So, looking at different things, you can start to see what the different things do. Now, since I like charisma and strength together, I'm probably going to pick Valiant Strike. Valiant Strike is a very accurate thing, and there's lots of different reasons to pick lots of different at-wills. But this one is going to be something that does one weapon, damage plus strength. Doesn't have anything special on the attack on the damage line, but on the attack line, I get a bonus to hit the number of people next to me. And since I'm really thinking that this character is going to be tough as nails and in the thick of things, I feel like he's going to have people next to him a lot. So my first at-will is going to be Valiant Strike. Another thing you want to do is make sure you label where you get these things from. So Channel Divinity is a feature, and it's a feature that we'll go into more detail with later. Lay on Hands is also a feature. Divine Challenge is a feature. And Dragon's Breath is from my racial. Valiant Strike is my at-will 1 power. So I get a second one. And let's go ahead and pick up a charisma thing because we went ahead and made ourselves based off of both just to have the best options. So let's pick Virtuous Strike as well. You'll also notice that I'm not really filling out anything with these characters. It is with these powers, it is the assumption of everyone that plays in the guild that everyone has access to the compendium. So if anyone wants to look at your character sheet and see what it is that you're doing, it's very easy to do that if you have the name of your power and where it's from listed so that anyone can go ahead and pull it up and say, oh, what does Virtuous Strike do? It does this. And they don't really need to read all this stuff on your character, and you don't have to spend all the time putting everything in that box just to make sure that everyone has information that everyone should already have with the compendium. So, okay, I've got my 2 at-wills. What else do I get? It says on here that I get a level 1 encounter, a level 3 encounter, a level 1 daily, a level 5 daily, and a utility. So I've played a lot of paladins before, and I roughly know what I'm going to be looking for. So I think at level 1, I'm going to make this guy pretty powerful, so I will pick Majestic Halo, because I really want to be able to mark people a lot. And then for my level 1 encounter power, I want to be able to mark a whole bunch of people, so I'm going to pick up the Valorous Smite. At level 2, I like having temporary hit points so I don't get murdered. Surviving is quite nice. So let's go ahead and pick up Virtue. At level 3, you have a ton of really good options, and a lot of classes have some pretty fun options, but I really like making my enemies run away, so I'm going to pick Fortune Spurn Smite. And last but not least, we've got our big, heavy-hitting level 5 daily. There's a lot of really cool things here, especially at level 5 for paladins, but as far as everything that goes on here, I kind of just like having one thing that just hits like a train. And Frenzying Smite is going to hit really hard. 4 weapon means that it's going to be 4 times whatever your weapon damage is. And for you, if you're wielding a big weapon, that's going to hit pretty hard. So let's go with Frenzying Smite. So now, more or less, I've got all my powers picked out. Cool, we're done with that step. So Nin tells me to look at my feats. Now, here's one thing that's going to be big. The feats, you're going to get a free expertise feat. And if you want to open up that link, it'll tell you exactly what expertise feat means and kind of what everything does. But when you're picking your expertise feat, you also want to sort of think about what sort of weapon you want to wield. This will determine what weapon you're actually going along with. I'm imagining this character to be more of a sword and board type character, and there's something specific to paladins that you can pick that makes your specific thing help for the whole team, called Devout Protector Expertise. So my character will pick up, as one of their feats, Devout Protector Expertise. The second column is a location, so you can either put where you're getting that from, or you can say what level you got it from. So for us, it's free. Now I'll also get something at 1, at 2, and at 4. And if you want to know where I got those numbers from, again, check through the player's handbook. It'll tell you how often you get your feats. Now, there are a ton of feats in the game. If I go and I look in my compendium, I can get to a section that tells me what my feats are once I clear my filters. Now there are 3,271 feats, and clearly not all of them I apply for. You can spend a little bit of time narrowing it down by typing in things like your class and looking through what you have as a paladin. You can sort by tier. We're all playing in heroic tier, so anything that doesn't have something next to it that doesn't have a specific requirement that you need to meet, like for example this one takes 15 paladin, or 15 wisdom, you can take anything that has the heroic label on it. Epic means you're level 21 or higher, and Paragon means you're level 11 or higher. So there's a lot of options here that are level 11, but I can also make it a little bit more specific by typing in my character in particular. So there's a couple things that are for specifically Dragonborn. Draconic Challenge. When I use my Dragon Breath racial power, I can subject them to Divine Sanction. Well, that's kind of cool. Divine Sanction is a mark to make it more likely that they're going to be attacking me. So let's go ahead and pick up Draconic Challenge as one of the other pieces here. So the next thing I want to look at is other sorts of things that would be cool, but since there's so many feats in the game, it's kind of hard to look at that. Fortunately, at the very bottom of the basic rules, there's going to be another resource that you can pick up and look at. It is called the Character Build Master Guide List. This will link you to a archived version of the old character optimization forums. Now, you don't have to make something that's optimal, something that is perfect, all of that sort of thing. That's perfectly fine. But if there's so many choices that it's kind of overwhelming, it's kind of nice to be able to look and see what other people think and just get a list of things that might sound kind of cool. So go to the Paladin section and I'll look up The Pillars of Faith and Face Stabs, the Paladin's Handbook, which will bring me to the book that Litigation wrote to make things make a little bit more sense. Now these handbooks are all color-coded. Red is something terrible, purple is not that good, black is generally okay, blue means you're getting really good, sky blue means this is very good and you should consider taking it, and gold means that it's something your class is built around. So if you scroll down, there's all kinds of information here, and you can read as much or as little of it as you want. Again, this is a resource that is completely optional for you to use, and it'll give you suggestions for what to take at every level. Now, near the bottom, it'll have a section called Fortifying the Faith Feats. These will give you some feats about what your class does and what your class is good at, and it will continue to color code those things so you can kind of get an idea of what it is you got going on. And you can see, oh, look, something here is in gold. Mighty Challenge. It says a Strength Paladin's Divine Challenge is very good. Well, and it also says for Paladins it makes it pretty dangerous. Seems to be pretty cool. Paladin means you're both balanced in strength and charisma. So my character's balanced in strength and charisma, so let's pick that as a second feat. That sounds cool. Now, back over here, anything else look interesting? Well, some things look kind of fun. Sudden Smite sounds like it might be cool. Lend Health, I don't really know if I see my guy as much of a healer. Bitter Challenge, I already have two things with a challenge in the name. Let's see if I can find something else that looks a little cool. Lots of things here that are cool, but that's higher level. So let's look at more general feats. Oh, I have okay wisdom, maybe? Let's look. What does my wisdom look like? My wisdom's only a +1, and my dexterity is a 0. So battle-wise, which changes my initiative to be based off of my wisdom instead of my dexterity, isn't really going to help me very much. But I do want to go first, so I'm going to go ahead and take Improved Initiative. Because I would really like to be able to go first. And that feat will help me accomplish that goal. You can also see what other initiative feats there are by being able to spell initiative first. That helps. And looking through sort of what other things are going on. For example, if I was a tiefling, I would be able to take Imperious Majesty, which allows me to use my charisma, which would likely be quite high as a tiefling, instead of my dexterity, and allow me to have a better chance of going first. but I chose Improved Initiative so that I will get a +4 to Initiative. Now, just so I don't forget it, there's a section over here for Initiative, and I'm going to go ahead and put in Miscellaneous +4, just so I don't forget about it. So, okay, I've got my feats done. I should be ready to go to equipment. Now I've got 4,500 gold to spend on equipment. That sounds like a ton, but the first things you want to get done are your magic weapon or implement, your neck item, your armor, and then if you have extra money left over, you can buy other things. You can also buy things from players. I'm not going to cover that in this area, but the basic thing you really want to make sure you do is that one of these 3 big items, your weapon, your neck, or your armor, should be +2. Now there's tons and tons of items in the game. And again, you can just go to the compendium and look up items to sort of see what some of the items are. The big thing is since we're starting at level 5, you're going to, for the most part, not worry about the non-magical stuff. With the one exception being, I said I wanted to have a shield, so I want to have a heavy shield. So, heavy shields are something I can take. They cost me 10 gold pieces. So I've got 4,500 to start with. -10 for my heavy shield. Okay, so shields are some of the only mundane things that you check out, and then I'm going to look down and see what I want to get. Now, I'm a paladin, so let's go ahead and see what sort of swords I can wear. I kind of want to wear a longsword, so I'm going to filter this by weapons, just to give me all of the cool weapon enchants. Oops. Up here. And you can sort by level, because you're going to be able to take you're going to be able to afford anything that is level 7 or lower. And if you take something that's level 7, it's 2,600 gold pieces. Here's the cost right here. That is going to be a lot of your starting money. Doesn't mean that it's a bad idea, just means that it's going to be a lot of starting money. Now there's tons and tons of items in here, and by all means take what you want to take. Since we're doing this as just a good example, let's go ahead and take magic items just generically for this character. So there is magic weapon. Level 1, very simple. Now since I'm just taking generic stuff, I'm going to go ahead and buy myself a +2 magic longsword. So that is going to cost me, according to the list, 1,800 gold pieces. So I'm going to mark that off. 1,800 for magic longsword. +2. Now if you want to see what sort of weapons you're proficient in, you need to go back and look at your class. If you look on your class, it'll tell you exactly what weapons you have. So weapon proficiency are simple melee, military melee, and simple range. A longsword itself, again checking out the compendium, is a military melee one-handed. So since it's a military melee weapon, I'm proficient in it, and I can go ahead and take it. It's also a heavy blade, and so that'll qualify for anything that is based around heavy blades. Okay, so I've got my magic weapon. Crap, what do I do next? Alright, I checked the new player checklist, and it says the next thing I'm supposed to pick up is a neck item. And since we're doing very generic things, I'm going to also pick up a magic generic neck. So let's look. Magic neck. That's unhelpful. Amulet of protection. Now you don't have to pick generic things for your starting character. You can pick any kind of cool item you want. I'm picking some generic stuff to make my life easy. So Amulet of Protection is also 1,800 gold pieces. So on my character, go down, another 1,800 gold pieces for Amulet of Protection. +2. So I've spent a pretty good amount of my money, so let's make sure that I've still got a little bit of money left and see what I have left to afford my magic weapon for. I've got 900 gold left to buy a magic weapon. It's not a whole bunch. Am I going to be able to buy my magic armor? Am I going to be able to buy my magic armor? Let's look. Magic armor. +2 is going to be another 1,800 gold, so I'm not going to be able to afford it in what I have. And the +1's pretty cheap. It's down at 360. Well, what do I have enough money to afford? Looks like I've got 900 left, so I can look on the prices, and so I can take anything that's +4 or lower and be able to afford something like that. Is there anything cool at lower levels? Well, I happen to know that I really like Dwarven armor. Dwarven armor is a pretty cool armor, and it's not that crazy expensive. So let's go 520 gold on a set of +1 Dwarven Plate. Again, if you're trying to figure out what sort of things you're proficient in, on your class it'll tell you that your armor proficiencies are cloth, leather, hide, chain, scale, plate. Plate is the heaviest armor in the game. Heavy shields and light shields. So I'm going to be in plate and a heavy shield. I'm going to be fairly defensively oriented. So I've got all that stuff down, and I don't have a lot of money left. So I've got 520 gold left. Or sorry, I've spent 520 gold. I've got 380 gold left. One thing you do want to do is take off 15 gold pieces for your Adventurers Kit. The Adventurers Kit has a bunch of stuff in it, and basically it is our way of saying, don't worry about whether you've got food or water or other sorts of things. Just make sure you spend 15 gold pieces on the Adventurers Kit, and we'll go ahead and say that that counts for whatever you would reasonably have with you. You say you've got a hammer in your bag? Sure, you probably have a hammer in your bag. You say you've got an extra set of rations to give the street urchin, so it'll be more likely to tell you where you need to go? Cool, that's fine. We're not going to make you keep track of your rations, or your arrows, or how many lockpicks you have on you. We just assume that as an adventurer, you take with you the things you're going to need on the road, and that 2 silver pieces that you could have spent on an extra container of water, we're going to assume that you spent that because as an adventurer, you're going to be pretty damn wealthy in this world. So you've got 365 gold pieces left. So let's go ahead and put that in there. Alright, so I've got all of my magic equipment done, and now I just need to make sure that, oh, there's a note here. If you're wearing +2 chain, scale, or plate, make sure you pick up the Masterwork version. Well, that's good that I didn't end up taking the +2 chain, scale, or plate, because now I don't have to worry about what Masterwork means. But if you look through the compendium, you'll see what it means when it's talking about extra Masterwork things in the armor section. You can also check in the player's handbook, and it'll tell you how the armor scales, and you can look in the compendium to look up other things about Masterwork armor. Okay, so I've got a lot of things on here, a checklist of all the things that I need to get. So let's look back over here. So it says that I'm going to need my character name, check, race, size, gender, height, weight, deity, and alignment. Well, I got to alignment and I thought about not doing that, so I need to look up a deity. Now, as a Dragonborn Paladin, there is kind of a default answer. There's a god called Bahamut, the god of good dragons, and in the guild, you need to be, at least on paper, good. There's a lot of questionable things you can do for the guild. We're not going to try to hurt your ability to roleplay, but it is definitely important that you take something that is fairly good. So let's go for a lawful good. Let's make this guy a true good guy character. And in the Adventure Company, it says in here that, let's see, I've got my class, my weight, deity, and alignment, my name on Roll20. Don't need to worry about these things. My Adventure Company is the guild. Next, I'm going to go to defenses. I need to add any defensive bonuses I get from my class. I need to get anything from feats, enhancement, my miscellaneous bonuses, and my temporary bonuses. So for this character, I need to look at my defenses. Well, I've got magic plate armor, and so I'll look up what plate armor does for me. According to the compendium, plate armor gives me a +9 bonus, +8 bonus to AC because my armor is not that high level. So my armor in the armor section will be 8. My shield is a heavy shield. So if I look for heavy shield, it'll tell me what a bonus I get. I get a +2 shield bonus. Okay. So +2 shield bonus. Now the check penalty, that'll be the penalty you get from your shield, so I get a -2, and from your armor. Also a -2. And I get a -1 to speed from my armor. So I'm going to go ahead and down here put a -1 to speed from my armor. And then a total of -4 2 checks from my armor, and my armor is definitely heavy, so I'll click the heavy box. Now, my base speed is going to be something that's in my race. Actually, let's do that when we get down there. So, my defenses. Column for class. So on Paladin class, it'll tell you what your bonus to defenses you get. So it says on here, bonus to defense, +1 fortitude, +1 reflex, and +1 will. So I've got, oh look, I've got a column for class, +1 fortitude, +1 reflex, +1 will. And these numbers might seem really odd, but part of this is because we are starting at level 5. And when you put that in, the sheet will adjust some things for you and make your defenses look a little bit more reasonable. Well, okay, so I've got my bonuses in for class, and I now have my bonuses in for my armor. I get a whole total of +10 to armor from my plate armor and from my shield. So what else do I need for defenses? Do you have any feats that give me bonus to defenses? Well, none of these give a bonus to defenses for me, and that's okay. Next thing I need to look for is once my enhancement for my magic items. So I have a set of +1 armor, so I get +1 to AC. And then if you look for Amulet of Protection, if you look that up in the compendium, it'll tell you it gives you what all +2 necks give you, which is your enhancement bonus to Fortitude, Reflex, and Will. So that means here, +2, +2, and +2. It's also going to look for miscellaneous and temp. I don't have any miscellaneous or temporary bonuses to my defenses, and if I have conditional bonuses, I'll put them in this conditional section down here. My max hit points. My max hit points are for my level 5 is in my class entry. Okay, so I'm a paladin, and what does it say? Hit points at first level, 15 plus Constitution score. So my Constitution score is 12. So my starting is going to be 15 plus 12. And then I'll get a certain amount for every level above level 1. So it says I get 6 per level. So this is level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. So I start off with 51 hit points. It'll automatically fill in your bloodied and your surge value. Now I'm a dragonborn, so I'm going to have a slight change to this. So dragonborns have a couple of other things in there. They have some bonuses to some skills, which I'll get to in a second. But it also has Draconic Heritage, Dragonborn Fury, and my Dragon Breath power. So I need to go ahead and fill those out at some point. And since we're thinking about it, let's go ahead and do it now. So Draconic Heritage, Dragonborn Fury, and Dragonborn Racial Power. Okay, and one of those things gives me a bonus to my Healing Surge value. Your Healing Surge value is equal to 1/4 your maximum health plus your Constitution modifier. My Constitution modifier is 1, because this is the mod column, not the mod plus half level. So that means that I will get an additional 1 to my Healing Surge value, and it will be 13. My surges per day is also on my class. So looking at my class, it says I've got 10 plus my Constitution modifier, 10 plus 1, so I have 11 surges per day. I'm pretty durable. So, surges per day, already added that in. Quick lookup. Now, this is going to be 2 things that you want to actually pay attention to. I will do a little section that explains how to get the math for these, but the quick lookup down here, which is what we've already filled out with our armor bonuses as well as our initiative bonuses, we do need to also fill out our speed bonuses. So, Dragonborn have a speed of 6 squares, so that's a speed of 6. Total speed of 5 with our armor on. Special senses and movement will also be in here, and it will explain if you've got any special vision. Dragonborns have normal vision, so they've got no special vision, and they don't have a teleport speed or a swimming speed or anything like that. So everything down here is normal. Conditional modifiers. So +2 bonus to saving throws against charms effects. A lot of these will come from your armor. Some of them will come from your race. Now this one says, while I am bloodied, I get +1 racial bonus to attack rolls. So let's go ahead and put a conditional in there. Okay, do we get any other conditional things from our race? Nope. Get the always effect of the heritage, the conditional effect of Dragonborn Fury, and then the power as far as our Dragon Breath is concerned. Cool. So that is done with conditional modifiers. Statistic blocks. I already have my array in there, my racial bonuses, and my level up increases, so I'm good to go. Racial features, we've already looked those up and put them in there. We want to pick an at-will and a basic attack for our attack workspaces. Now, I'm not going to cover in detail how to fill out this section because page 274 and 276 in the Player's Handbook is going to go through each of these different things and explain it in great detail. I'm just going to fill it out fairly quickly and go from there. So our attack workspace, I'm going to look up and say, I want to have melee basic attack. And for the other thing, I'm going to pick one of my powers. Let's do Virtuous Strike, since Virtuous Strike is also something I can use a lot. So my ability for my melee basic attack is Strength, which is a 4. I don't need anything for my class. My proficiency with a longsword is a 3. My feat bonus is 1 from Devout Protector Expertise, and then 2 from my generic magic weapon. Same thing for this, Charisma. It's going to be 4, then 3, 1, and 2. Now it is a little bit asinine to fill out melee basic and virtuous strike here, as virtuous strike is a melee basic attack, and you can just have it be identical because you can always use virtuous strike. I'm just trying to give a good example, as one of these is based off of strength and the other one's based off of charisma. Having two different things here, especially if you have multiple attack stats that aren't the same number, is going to be very helpful. So down here, this one's based off of strength, this one's based off of charisma, they're both 4. I don't have any feat bonuses to attack, but I do get my enhancement to damage as well. So that's going to give me some pretty easy things to put down here. So melee basic attack, and my bonus is going to be 1d20, it's going to be plus 12, and then it's going to be against armor class. And then my weapon is a longsword, so it's d8, not d10, and d8 plus 12. Sorry, d8 plus 6, because that's the damage workspace. And then my Virtuous Strike is going to be the same thing. Alright, so we've got all that down. Got a couple things filled out. Skills. I need to make sure to add my bonuses for race and possibly background or themes. I didn't really remember that the race gives me bonuses to something else. Oh look, there it is. History and Intimidate. So I get plus 2 as a miscellaneous bonus to both History and Intimidate, which is great because, again, you want to be really, really good at things you're good at, so I've got a plus 13 bonus to Intimidate. That's pretty powerful. Okay, so feats. If you don't have things that are feats, there shouldn't be anything in here that's not a feat. So don't put your weapon proficiencies, your armor proficiencies, or other sorts of things down here. That's not going to be very helpful for us when reading your sheet, because you're going to need all of this space for your feats once you're max level. So this is going to give me my class and destiny features. So I'm going to list all my class features that I have on my paladin class in that area. So the class features are Channel Divinity, Divine Challenge, and Lay on Hands. And then I'm going to go and look in the books because the entry here does not tell me everything I need to know about my class features. It just says Channel Divinity, I'll have some things to do. In the Player's Handbook, it'll explain to you exactly what Channel Divinities you have. Now, because I've, again, played a lot of Paladins, I know that there are 2 here, and the option for the Channel Divinities that I get are Divine Strength and Divine Metal. And I only get one of the 2 of those to use every fight, because that's how Channel Divinity works. Again, if you look at something and you're like, oh, that's a little weird, make sure to take the time to go ahead and read through that thing on your class. Again, we don't expect you to get everything correct, but we do expect you to try to look for things and try to learn how your things work, even if you don't get it right on the first try. Okay, so we've got that done. Now let's look down to languages. So my race will tell me what languages I have. They have Common and Draconic. Makes sense. Languages. Again, you cannot start with supernal or abyssal. This is a rule that's a little bit obscure to find, so if you do this, we're going to tell you can't do it, but don't feel bad about accidentally picking supernal or abyssal. There are a couple of very few things that are able to start with supernal or abyssal, but if you can start with it, it will explicitly say you can use supernal or you can use abyssal. So we've got all of our money put in here from when we bought our magical equipment, and now we need to put some interesting things in our background. So we don't have to have a ton of information here, but we need to answer some basic questions. So what does my character look like? Well, my character is a big kind of thinking this character is going to be slightly on the ridiculous side. So let's go ahead and say he's Johnny Bravo in plate. I'll need to maybe spend a little bit of extra gold on hair gel and mousse and things like that. Maybe get a nice snazzy black shirt to go along with everything. So where's my character from? I don't exactly know. Let's say cool. Again, you don't need to write a big book, just something to give us a little bit of a feel of what you want your character to do. Why is this character adventuring? Well, he thinks it's more fun to be at the center of attention. So let's say that. Maybe he grew up in a poor family. This character have any obvious traits to set them apart? I kind of feel like if I play up the whole Johnny Bravo with plate in plate with scales, I can play up him having something that's a little bit interesting. The very last box on this page here, this is personal. Nobody can see this except for you. So don't expect to write anything down there and have anyone reply to it. Now you can spend some more time looking at your personality traits. Are you adventurous? Are you friendly? That sort of thing. You can talk about some of your allies, the people that you adventure with. And in the session campaign notes, this is going to get filled up with your story awards once we start getting to go. And you'll learn more about story awards later. Don't really worry about them right now. So you have the option to pick a mechanical background, and there's a thread that explains what mechanical backgrounds are. Now this is an option, and it does make your character stronger. I'm not going to go through and explain exactly how the mechanical background works, because you don't really have to have one to start off. You will likely eventually want to pick one, but again, not mandatory. The theme is the same way. It's not mandatory, but it will be something you can look up. In the compendium, you can look, and there is a section for character themes, which give you all the themes you can get, and again, you have to qualify for it. So a mariner, you don't have to be anything specific, but if you're going to be, let's say, what's another one that's got a good thing? There you go. A Neverwinter Noble. You have to be a human. So I wouldn't be able to take that one as my Dragonborn character. And in the background section, it'll also give you a huge list of all the backgrounds you can take. 817 of them. Some of them have a prerequisite, like this one right here that says I need to be a Dragonborn. Cool, I could take that because I'm a Dragonborn. The next thing you want to do is make sure that your character is complete and you've got something tried in every section. So let's see. I've got everything here. I don't need a Paragon Path or Epic Destiny. I've got a +1 bonus to attack rolls. I've got my workspaces filled out. All of my stuff looks like it's pretty much filled out. I probably should put some extra things in here for my class, path, and destiny features. And in my other items, I need to remember that I have my Adventurer's Kit. But more or less, I'm pretty much good to go. I've got my character. He's mostly ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and hit save so that I don't get any of my stuff lost. But this is a good attempt. Now, here's the thing. You're going to mess up. I've been making characters a really long time, and when I go to post this, there's probably going to be something that someone says, hey, you didn't do this quite right. But that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly okay. The fact that I might have forgotten something, like for example, forgot to put a reminder for myself for Mighty Challenge, or if I had forgotten to put my bonus to initiative, that's perfectly okay. You just want to make sure you get it posted so we can actually comment on things. So the next thing you want to do is look on over on the Guild Living. There's going to be something that says post character sheets here. If you look on the very first post on Post Character Sheets, it'll give you an idea of exactly what we're looking for. There is an explanation that says you need to format it exactly like this. It's the easiest way to do it. Let's go ahead and just copy and paste. So once you're ready to go, at the very bottom, you're going to paste what it asks you to do, and make sure that you have read the basic rules, that you have read the new player checklist, you've got the compendium, and you've got a good link to your character sheet. Now this is easy to use. You just take exactly what it says up top, copy and paste, and then you hit submit. Once you've submitted your character sheet, a DM will come along and reply to you. Now, one of the important things to remember is DMs have a lot of stuff going on. We've got tons and tons of people that are going to be applying and looking for different things. The best way that you can help us help you is by responding to our things that we have questions about very specifically. So, for example, here's a really good example of how to reply to something. Stigma posted their character in the proper format and gave a character link. I responded to Stigma and told him welcome to the guild, and then I listed the things that he needed to fix. He responded to that by listing for me using the numbers and explaining how he has fixed each of the pieces. I then responded back the things that he still needed to work on. He then responded back the things that he's fixed, and that he's good to go and goes to the next step. I'll make another video explaining the next step once you're ready to go to that process, but thanks for joining, and I hope you didn't get turned off by all the crazy stuff you need to do to start getting to play Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition for the Guild Living.